All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everyone? We are back for another MMA show. Obviously got a new face up here tonight with me. No Titletown this week. He's enjoying his vacation, so I'm going to be covering tonight's MMA show and tomorrow's best ball show. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Rio, aka Hebrewcheetah. Normally the basketball guy around here, but going to be talking some fights with my man, Big Marley. Marley, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Looking forward to doing a podcast with Rio. He's a beast in the DFS streets, so I'm trying to get on his level. Hopefully you'll give me a little bit of DFS luck for this card. But yeah, I think it's a great card. Looking forward to breaking it down with you.
Yeah, for sure. Had a lot of success since coming over Ship It. Obviously get all my knowledge from Title and Big Marley, so shout out to those guys. But yeah, this looks like to be a pretty good card. Got, 13 fights, I believe, over in Abu Dhabi, so should be a good card. Got a little possibly a title contending fight, whoever wins that last one. So excited to break that down. Say what's up to some people in chat. Got Ben Jizzy, Titletown, our guy Little Neck, who's been crushing the Olympic NBA stuff in over in Paris. So shout out to him. We had a 20K shipper. I don't know if you saw that the other night in the Olympic streets. Jonathan took home first in the Olympics over there. So shout out to Jonathan and Little Neck, and also Wardo. You guys have been crushing in there. I've been keeping an eye what's going on in the NBA channel. So shout out to you guys. Just a quick reminder, tomorrow's show. So we're normally Title and Marley will be doing the best ball show right after this one, but I think we're going to do a special little drinking and drafting stream tomorrow night. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we get enough Ship It guys in there to fill the lobby, but it should be a good segue into our partner over at Drafters. Use code SHIPIT to get 100% of your deposit bonus, up to 100%. Personally, I'd love the Drafters UI. I've been using it a lot this season. Pretty much my first time really diving deep into the best ball streets. I think that they're the best out there. Not even trying to sound biased. I think that it's just a great site, great product. So get over there. Super excited for the NFL season upcoming. Speaking of the NFL season, we have our early bird special coming that just launched not too long ago, as well as the Shiptimizer should be launching in a few days. We're really excited about that. But yeah, you got, NFL is going to be great this season. We got all the normal faces with Hoop, Tambo, and Title, as well as Big Nades and Big Marley going to be taking down those showdown and afternoon slates, which have been crushing the last couple of years. Yeah, going to be a great season. It's a perfect time to join. Got the $299 package right here. You get NFL as well as college football. And if you look at the comparison, not going to call any names, but it's really just the best bang for your buck. We get the optimizer, get all the other sports that are going on right now with MLB, the Olympics, which I just mentioned, MMA, obviously, and golf still going on. Got some pretty big showdown prize pools for the Olympics this weekend with being out there in Paris. So yeah, get in now. And without further ado, Marley, if you're ready, let's get into these fights.
Yeah, I want to say one thing about Drafters, though. They just launched an August daily streak challenge. So if you draft for 10 consecutive days, you'll get a free. This is in the $15 millionaire contest. You'll get a free ticket if you draft 10 days. You'll get 2 free tickets if you draft 20 days, and you'll get 3 free tickets if you draft 30 consecutive days. They also throw in a $10 pick'em for the 10 days, $20 pick'em for the 20 days, and $30 pick'em for the 30 days. So get in there, use promo code SHIPIT. They'll match your first deposit up to $100.
Yeah, good call. I forgot to mention that. I saw that promo in the emails this morning. Definitely a good one to get in on. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into these fights. Got the first fight of the night, Cedriques Dumas taking on Denis Tulan, with Dumas coming in as a -210 favorite, Tulan plus 180. Big Marley, I'm going to kick it to you right away. What are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, this is it's an okay fight to target, I guess. Dumas is still kind of green in the sport. He's more of like, I guess he's like a street fighter, but he's got some decent wrestling chops, some decent submission chops as well. So he's coming along quick. And then Tulan is more just a technical kickboxer. He really doesn't have much of a ground game. So I would still give the overall ground edge in this one to Dumas. I think that he could land a couple takedowns in this fight. He could submit Tulan. And then I also think he's probably, I don't know about more aggressive. Neither one of these guys are like high volume strikers, but I feel like Cedricus is just a little bit more aggressive on the feet, and then Tulan would be more technical. But if this is a striking match, we're going to need a knockout from either one of them to have any real high ceiling. So my preferred play is going to be Cedricus just because he can mix in the wrestling, and I think he could submit Tulan as well. He's just terrible on the ground. And Dumas already has a couple submissions on his record, so wouldn't shock me at all to see a submission here. I just don't love the $8,900 salary. Like, we need him to have a ceiling performance to pay that off, and not only pay that off, but beat guys like Umar and other guys who are in that top range. So I'll probably avoid this fight with most of my lineups. Don't even know that I'll get to Tulan at all with 20 or less lineups, but maybe 150 I'll sprinkle in a little bit. And then Dumas, maybe I'll have like a 10 to 20%, something around that range. And I guess if the Shiptimizer gives me a little bit more, I'd be fine with it. But I just have a hard time seeing me get too much over 20%. There's other people I'd rather pay up for instead who have more ways to hit that high ceiling.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm pretty much in agreement with you on this one. I was a little bit surprised when I saw the money line odds, just not really anything against Dumas as a fighter. I think that he's got a ton of talent. Seems to be like more of a lower IQ fighter just in general. I mean, outside of the ring, he makes a ton of dumb decisions. It just overall, I'm sure you know about all that stuff. But I mean, Tulan's actually fought some really good competition looking back at some of his losses. Fought Christian Leroy Duncan, who's, I think that the UFC is pretty high on. RoboCop obviously is a stud. Jun Young Park is a really good fighter as well. So I think for me, it's more of a dog or pass side, just because I just don't know if I see Dumas paying off the price tag with. I mean, there's a really good card with some really good guys up top. So I don't know if I could see myself getting to a ton of Dumas personally, but there's probably a good amount of leverage. Haven't really seen much ownership side, but I would imagine he's on the lower owned side with this one being the first fight of the night.
Yeah, just did some ownership right before we got on here, and I have Tulan as one of the lower owned fighters on the card, and then Dumas, I forget what I put him at, but I feel like he'll be a little bit higher than I was saying I want to get to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just rather, I would rather avoid it. Like, if I'm building 5 lineups, I would rather just avoid this fight and shoot for other ones. So if you're one of those limited hand builders, I'd probably look to other fights since we got 13 on this card.
Yep, for sure. Speaking of the other fights, let's get into the next one. Jai Herbert coming in as a -140 favorite versus Rolando Bedoya plus 120. This one is a pretty interesting fight. I think, definitely on the underdog side. I think the pricing for this one is a little bit wider than it should be. I see Jai Herbert coming in as 8,600 versus Bedoya at 7,600, which I would imagine makes him a pretty popular underdog. But I really like Bedoya in this one. Guy's got a granite chin, got a huge head, just doesn't. He's a really high output fighter as well, 8.7 significant strikes per minute in the UFC, just 2 fights. But he's shown to be a pretty good fighter and fought some, two really tough guys in Song Kanan and Chaos Williams. So for me, really tough for me to get to Jai Herbert at 8.6K. I think Bedoya wins this one. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in this one. What do you see, Big Marley?
Yeah, Herbert's going to be a full fade for me. The only way Herbert really has a chance of making the optimal lineup, in my opinion, would be an early knockout, because he is not a high volume striker. He's not a wrestler, not a grappler. So without a first round knockout, I don't think he has any chance at getting 100 points in this one. And then, as you mentioned, Bedoya has a solid chin. So I just don't see the knockout happening. I'm going to X Herbert out of my lineups. When I looked at this fight on Sunday, though, I want to say he was like close to -170. So that's why he's up there at 8,600. But it's been money on Bedoya all week. And now not only are we getting value on DraftKings, but at $7,600, like, he doesn't even need to finish this fight to pay off that price tag. I think even in the decision, he has high enough volume alone that he could score 10x. And then he could also mix in a couple takedowns, maybe have a 90-point upside in a decision win. And then Herbert really has a questionable chin, so it wouldn't shock me to see Bedoya knock him out in any round. So he has 100-point upside at $7,600. I think he's going to be one of the higher-owned underdogs on the card, but that is chalk I'm willing to eat. That's an underdog I'm picking to win, I think. Just on volume alone, I would pick him to beat Herbert on the feet, and on the feet is where Herbert has the best chance. So, yeah, Bedoya or pass for me for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's dropping down a weight class, Bedoya is in this one, so he should be in really good shape. I think he's fighting with Charles Oliveira and all those guys at the shoot. So, I mean, I like this kid a lot. I think he's got some talent, and this is probably a pretty good spot to buy in on him. Next fight, let's get into is Victoria Dudakova coming in as -170 versus Sam Hughes, +145. I believe this might be one of the highest odds at going to decision here, but I still think that it's pretty interesting to target. Don't want to really look too much into Dudakova's numbers just because she had that freak win over Estela Nunes, where she got the quick win bonus on Nunes breaking her arm on the takedown defense. But I mean, Sam Hughes, she does pretty well in her wins. So what are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, I don't know that it's a striker versus grappler matchup, but for DraftKings, I look at it as a striker versus grappler matchup because Dudakova does have a decent ceiling with her takedown upside. I think she looks the best when she's on the ground. And Sam Hughes only defends takedowns at a 57%. She's been taken down like 10 times or so in the UFC already. So I feel like the first round, Dudakova has a big wrestling advantage. Maybe she can keep that cardio up to still get there in the second round as well. If there's a submission early in the fight, it's coming from Dudakova. I also think she could hang in the striking early in the fight, but the longer this goes, her cardio is going to wear down, and Sam Hughes can go hard all 3 rounds. So I think in the third round, the wrestling's probably going to slow down from Dudakova. Hughes probably picks it up on the feet. And then in the Dudakova's last fight, it was really a striking match throughout the whole fight. And I think if she is looking to strike in this fight, it's much closer to a pick'em. I think Hughes could win on the feet every round. She's cheap enough where she's kind of more playing for 10x in my opinion. I don't think she's going to finish this fight. And if she does, it would be more of a third round finish. I don't think she's got 100-point upside, but at 7,700, we really don't need 100 points. If she can get to 90, maybe she can end up on the optimal lineup. I just think 90 is even a hard goal for Sam Hughes in this fight. So the more that the line shrinks, the more I like Dudakova because I think her ownership will shrink with the line. But she is the one with 100-point upside, in my opinion, with her wrestling and her grappling upside. So my preferred play is going to be Dudakova in this one. I just worry about the cardio. If she's going to strike, that's not good for us. We need her to go out there and wrestle and grapple for any chance at a high score. But if she's going to slow down in the third round, that's not good for us either. We really need all 3 rounds to mix in some takedowns in this one. So don't love it as a play, but I also think the ownership won't really be there. So that's what puts me on Dudakova as a possible leverage play. Maybe I'll match the field on Hughes, but ideally I'll be underweight on her just because I think she is more playing for 10x and there's other underdogs I'd rather target.
For sure. Could not agree more. Yeah, this is it's a big card. So there's going to be some underdogs that come through. And I think that, we'll get into some of the other ones, but yeah, there's some very interesting underdogs, sub 8K on this slate for sure that I'm excited to talk about. Say what's up to a few more people in chat. Just got here. Nate D, my guy GK Pfeiffer, and Sean Sullivan. What's up, Sean? How are you guys doing tonight? Next fight on the slate, we got. All right, so I'm definitely gonna mess this one up, but I'm gonna try my best. Guram Kutateladze versus Jordan Vucinic. That's a tongue twister. We got Kutateladze coming in as a -235 favorite versus Vucinic +200. This is a short notice fight, I believe, for Vucinic coming in. Pretty solid record, 13-2 record, obviously in a different league, but pretty solid finishing upside from him. We've seen 6 of those, or 8 of his wins come by finish, 6 of those by submission. Guram obviously fought some really good competition. He beat Matus Gamrot not too long ago. Lost to Elvis Brener, which is nothing to hang your hat on. He's a tough fighter as well. But I don't know. This is an interesting fight. I think that Guram is probably the best side in this one, but I think that Jordan Vucinic could come in as one of the lower owned dogs in this one. So what do you see in here?
Yeah, I'm gonna call him Gurum and Jordan. But for me, this is dog or pass, especially on DraftKings, because Gurum is primarily a striker, and I don't think he's high volume enough to where he can score well on the feet. Definitely not get 10x in a decision. So I think he has to get a knockout at some point along the way. I guess he's a black belt in BJJ, but I wouldn't have thought that looking at the tape, to be honest with you. I think Jordan is the better grappler in this one. I think he has the higher wrestling upside. He is a Cage Warriors former champion, so he's been 5 rounds multiple times. He has taken this on short notice, but I think he just fought like 2 weeks ago or something like that, maybe even less than that. But I was pretty impressed with Jordan, so I think that this line should be a little bit closer to pick him. If he does get the win, I feel like he is playing for close to 10x with 100-point upside. So I'm going to be heavy on Jordan. I'll get some leverage on him, and I might just X Kutaladze out of my lineups because $8,800, if he's not getting a first-round knockout, I don't even know that he's going to be on the optimal lineup with the second-round knockout because I don't think he's going to go out there, look for many takedowns. So it's pretty much a hard pass for me, and I'll be picking Jordan to get the win in this one.
I love to hear that. I was doing a little research earlier today. I liked what I saw from Jordan, and I think that the matchup is pretty good for him in this one. So I'm probably going to be right there in line with you, with him as an overweight underdog. So I'd love to hear that. What's up, Steven? What's up, Jasmine? Hope you're having fun out there. And we got our guy John Newquist with the $10 tip. We appreciate that. We'll circle back to this one at the very end. We'll definitely not forget about you, but we'll break down the rest of this card first and then circle back to this. Appreciate the tip. Next fight should be a really good one to target, at least on one side, in my opinion. Shamil Gaziev versus Dontel Mays. Shamil coming in as a minus 255 favorite. Really good inside the distance odds as well. Dontel Mays plus 215. I'll kick it to you right away. I think this one is pretty straightforward, and I'm curious to hear your opinions on it, but I think that my mind's pretty much made up with this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be heavy on Gaziev in this one. The biggest issue with him is he has no real cardio, so if this fight gets extended, it's probably not good for him. He's probably not going to score well if it goes to a decision, and he might get finished in the third round or just lose the third round and not score well because of it. But he is aggressive in round one, whether it be looking for the knockout on the feet or throwing like a 5-punch combo and then finishing it up with a takedown and then kind of dominating his opponent on the ground, getting a ground and pound finish or even a submission. I think he could finish Mays either way on the ground. So his best path to victory is a first round finish. That's going to score 100+ points if it happens. Mays is not very good, period. So I just think he goes out there and dominates them, finishes it in the first round. Gaziev's one of my favorite plays on the card. If he does start to tire out, Mays could pick it up, maybe get a late finish, but I feel like he's going to drop the first round. So I don't even know that he has a 100-point upside if he is going to finish late in the second or finish in the third round, because I feel like he's going to be losing up until that point. So I'm not going to X him out of my lineups, but I'm definitely clicking on other names first if I'm hand building. And then in the Shiptomizer, maybe I'll max Mays at like 20%. I prefer closer to 10, but anywhere in that range I would be okay with. And it would be more as a hedge because I do want to have probably 50%, maybe more than that, of Gaziev in my lineups. He's one of my favorite plays to win early in the fight.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Yeah, pretty interesting route that Gaziev is taking. You know, he had obviously really big step up in competition last fight. Had the main event against Rosenstruck. Really, I mean, he looked really bad in that one, but I mean, Rosenstruck that's a huge step up, so it kind of makes sense. That was only his second fight in the UFC, something like that. And it seems like this is just the UFC kind of handing him an easy win, like giving him somebody like Dontel Mays is a huge bounce back spot for Shamil. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think that a round one KO is probably the most likely thing from him, and yeah, I'll probably be minimum 40%, probably upwards of 50% on him. Next fight on the slate, we got Caio Fernandez coming as I think the second biggest favorite on the card, going against Muhammad Yaya. Minus 400 for Fernandez, plus 300 for Yaya. I don't know much about either of these guys, to be honest. I haven't seen a ton of film from either of them, so I'm going to lean on you for this fight here. What are you seeing in this one?
I think Yaya's going to be a fade for me. I just don't really like anything about Yaya's game. I think this fight could be close in a striking match just based on volume, but I think Fernandez is better everywhere. I think he's more likely to get a knockout. I think he's going to be our better wrestler, better grappler. The only issue is that he's $9,300, so he has to either get a finish or wrestle heavily to pay that off. If he did win his first fight in the UFC, he would have only scored 58 points. That's not great, but that was a much tougher matchup than Yaya. And he is minus 170 to win inside the distance, which is higher than I thought it would have been, to be honest with you. So that makes me like him a little bit more. I just don't like his pace. He's not going out there, looking to finish the fight in a hurry. He's not going to be a chain wrestler type of guy. And if he is winning the fight on the feet, I feel like he could be content with that and just kind of cruise to a 3-round decision. And that's not going to do us any favors at $9,300. So I'm not going to make it a point to get any Fernandez in my lineups. But if I ended up with, 20, maybe even 30% in the Shiptimizer, I'd probably be okay with that. But I just think in my hand builds, I'll be looking to pay up for some of these other 9K guys instead. And then Yaya's just going to be another X out for me. I think there's a few X's on this card. He's one of them. Just don't really like anything about his game. Don't think he's going to have much upside either. Even if he does win, it'll probably be like a 60-point score or something along those lines. So I'll take my chances on other dogs. Give me Fernandez to win 30-27.
Yeah, love to hear that. Just checking the odds for this one. He is plus. I thought just had it here a plus 175 in the first round. I mean, those are really good odds for Fernandez, but man, it's not guaranteed to be a huge score either. You could see him be, like you said, he's pretty low volume. So yeah, I mean, we've seen. I don't think that like a 95 from him would be enough, or 90, 97 or something like that. I think we're gonna need upwards of 100 at that price tag. What's going on, M. Peter? I honestly don't know how to pronounce the name, but that sounds like an awesome time. Morgan Wallen, that's Big Marley's boy right there. Appreciate that.
I saw Morgan the day before he threw that chair off the roof and got arrested. So good thing I saw him in time. Didn't miss a show because of that.
What a legend. All right, next fight on the slate, we got Azamat Murzakanov versus Alonzo Menifield. Murzakanov is minus 190, plus 110 inside the distance. Menifield plus 167, plus 285 inside the distance. I mean, I think this is a fight you're probably going to want to have some of. Menifield looks like one of the better dogs from an upside perspective and just money line perspective at, I believe, 7.5K. Yeah, 7.5K. I mean, pretty good odds for him there. I think, this is two guys that are going to be throwing bombs the whole time. Murzakanov is, he's got a ton of power. Obviously, Menifield coming off the pretty bad knockout, pretty bad just overall fight against Carlos Ulberg just a few months ago. So you got to wonder how much he has recovered from that one. I think that this is a fight I'm probably going to have a good amount of. I like the price tag on both of these guys, 87, 7.5K. So I could see the winner in this one coming with a lot of points and being on the optimal. What do you see in here?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good fight to target. Menifield probably has the most one-punch power on the entire card, so he's always going to be in play as an underdog, especially as cheap as he is. What's he at here? $7,500. If Menifield wins, I feel like he's going to pay that off, and he has 100-point upside because he could go out there and spark this guy in round one, score 110 points, and break the slate. Both of these guys could slow down, though, as the fight moves along. So I kind of don't really take it away from either one of them because I don't think the other one will really pick up the pace if one of them does start to slow down. But I do think that Murzakanov is just the overall better striker over the course of 3 rounds anyways. I think he's the better and more likely wrestler as well. So I'm going to pick Murzakanov to win. But if he's going to go out there and look to strike with Menifield, he's going to be putting himself in danger. And I think it's also going to be hard to pay off that $8,800 or what's he at? Yeah, $8,700 price tag, unless he's going to get a finish in the first couple rounds, which Menifield was knocked out in the first round in his last fight. So I wouldn't put him past him to get another knockout. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might prefer Menifield at these prices just because he can really go out there and break the slate, where I don't see Muratov being one of those guys where it's like, if you don't have Muratov, you don't cash this week type of play. I feel like he's playing more for 70 to 80 type of range. And then his upside, like in a 20% upside would be more of a 100-point ceiling. And that would be with the finish, because I just don't think he's going to go out there and wrestle enough to score well in a decision. So if I'm making one lineup, I would rather just take my chances on the underdog. Hope he goes out there, throws a big punch in the first round and puts him away. But yeah, if 150 lineups, I'm cool getting 20 to 40% of either side of this fight and just kind of mix it in however the Shiptimizer wants.
Yep, I could not agree more. Last couple fights for Muratov. Both. I mean, he had the win and decision last time against Dustin Jacoby. Third round knockout against Clark, and then third round knockout against I don't even know how to pronounce that one, but yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right that the upside play is definitely Menifield here, and yeah, probably one of the underdogs I'm going to be getting overweight on as well. Next fight here, we have another really good one. I mean, man, this card is pretty loaded for being a free card. Joel Alvarez coming in as a minus 160 favorite, minus 105 inside the distance versus Elvis Brener, plus 140, plus 315 inside the distance. Yeah, I mean, the odds definitely favor Alvarez in terms of the finishing upside in this one, but I don't know. I definitely want to hear your opinion on this one, because Elvis Brener he's really good, and he's got he's a dog, got really good durability. Obviously, Alvarez has just an insane, track record of winning fights by finish, 17 wins by submission. Brener has never been submitted or knocked out. So I think that Alvarez could probably be one of the higher owned fighters, with this being one of the mid-tier fights and him being 8.3K. But is this a letdown spot for Joel Alvarez here?
It could be. When I started this fight on Sunday, I believe he was minus 130. This morning, he was like minus 192. So it's been money on him all week. And then just before I got on, I saw he's down to minus 160. So a little bit of buyback on the Brener side. Yeah, I think in round one, Alvarez is going to be our more dangerous fighter everywhere. He's pretty aggressive on the feet too. He could knock out Brener in the first round. It would just be the first time anyone's done it to Brener. And he's also more of a grappler than he is a striker, but he has never landed a takedown in the UFC. He kind of needs his opponent to take him down, and then he's dangerous with the guillotine. He's dangerous off of his back. But Brenner's pretty good on the ground too, so I'm not too sure he's going to be able to finish Brener. And then the longer this fight goes, I just have more faith in Brenner's cardio holding up. I think Alvarez slows down in each round. If this gets to the third round, I think Brenner's going to win that third round. And if there is a finish in the third, I think it's coming from Brener as well. So the way I see it is Alvarez round one, Brener round three, and it comes down to round two, which I really don't even know who's going to win. I feel like this should be closer to a pick'em fight. I thought that the minus 130 on Alvarez looked more correct than that minus 190 did. So the plus money talked me into Brener as just the overall play in this one. But the issue is that we kind of want Brener to go out there and land a couple takedowns throughout the fight. And I don't know that he's going to want to do that, especially early, because of how dangerous Alvarez is. And if he's going to look to strike, I don't know that he's going to pay off a $7,900 in a 3-round decision. But I do think that takedowns could be there in the third round. He could really put it on a gassed Alvarez and maybe finish him as well. So he does have 100-point upside. I'm going to be overweight to Brener. But Alvarez, he finishes every one of his fights. So he's definitely got 100-point upside. And now we got line value on him as well at $8,300. So this is just going to be a fight I want to target heavily. But I'd rather save the $400. If I'm making a couple lineups, then Brener will be the one I'm looking to click on more so than not. So he is one of my favorite underdogs on the entire card. And I think this is going to be a barn burner. This should be a good fight to watch and to target on DraftKings.
Yep, 100%. This feels like one of the fights where you'd hear Titletown come in and say, if I get 5 to 10% of Alvarez or 50%, I'd be fine with either. But yeah, I agree 100%. I think that Brener should be a pretty good bet at that price tag. So I am in agreements with you there. What's going on, Brent? BJ, our guy, how you doing? Hope your night is going well tonight, my man. I believe this is the main card here, or was that fight on the main card? Either way, we got.
So.
Okay,
or no, maybe that was the final one on the prelims.
Yeah, I think this is the start of the main card. We got our girl Mackenzie Dern taking on Lupi Godinez. Dern minus 115, plus 185 inside the distance. Lupi minus 105, but plus 1,000 inside the distance when I checked this morning. I believe this is the second most likely fight to go the distance here. Obviously, all of the finishing upside is on the Dern side. Just want to point out, I mean, I think, Dern is a really, really good all-around fighter. Definitely like her just as a fighter, but she hasn't had a win inside the distance, I believe, since 2021, which is around the same time the last time that Lupi lost inside the distance. So I don't know. I mean, I think that Lupi is just a really, really good play at this price tag as an underdog play. I mean, she's got huge upside with the takedown upside. We've seen Mackenzie Dern not really be that great defending takedowns. I mean, Lupi's put up some pretty crazy numbers: 5 takedowns against Elise Reed, 8 against Carnelossi, 5 against Luke Bunmi, 5 against Gomez Suarez. All those 3 of those 4 fights, she put up scores of 128.3, 129.4, and 127. So for me, I think that Lupi is probably the side I want to be heavier on, unless you see something different and can sway me the other way.
Actually, my preferred play is just to avoid this fight. I think that Dern is the more dangerous grappler in this one, so I don't think Lupi's going to want to go out there and take her down, because that's where she's going to be in trouble in this one. Dern has solid power when she's just winging big shots, but Lupi's the better boxer. I think if this is a 15-minute striking match, Lupi probably wins all 3 rounds. If not, then give me 29-28. But I do feel like this fight's mainly going to take place on the feet. I doubt we're getting a knockout from either one. So I don't think we're going to get a big score in this one. I think the winner's going to score more likely in the 60s or 70s range. And maybe it'll already get enough ownership to where I just want to fade both sides. But you're right. They do both have upside. Like, Lupi's one of the better wrestlers on the card. It's just that it's dangerous to go out there and wrestle against Dern. And then Dern is one of the best grapplers on the card. So if she can get the fight to the ground, Lupi could be in some big trouble. Dern is just a horrible wrestler, so she isn't likely to get the fight on the ground. And once her takedowns start failing, she's not going to really try and chain wrestle them together. She'll kind of give up on it and accept a striking match. So the way I see it going down is that maybe we'll get a takedown or 2 from either side, but this fight mainly takes place on the feet, and it won't be high volume enough because Lupi will be worried about the takedowns herself. So she's not going to be pushing a heavy pace on the feet either. So this is the one I'm looking to get away from and hoping that Lupi does win 29 or 30-27 really on the feet. I think if that happens, she doesn't even get 10x in this one. So I'll be looking to fade this fight, but I'm also not going to X them out of my Shiptomizer. It'll just be my hand builds that I'll be fading it in. And then maybe I'll be fine with 10 to 20% of either side with 150 lineups. Yeah, cool. Give me Lupi to win.
Yep, I think I agree with you there. What do you make of Mackenzie Dern's cardio? Do you think she's got good cardio enough? Like, could you see something happening in the second, third rounds where we just see Lupi just pile up chain takedowns and just kind of ragdoll on her? Or is it she just doesn't want to get the fight to the mat with her?
Yeah, I feel like Dern's probably the best submission grappler in WMMA. So I just don't think even in the third round. I mean, Dern really has decent cardio, so I don't think she would slow down enough like an Alvarez where he's super dangerous on the ground. But the third round, I don't see him throwing up many submissions off his back. But Dern does have the cardio to get a third round submission. So I feel like even in the third, Lupi's going to be wanting to avoid takedowns, keep this one standing, and just win with her boxing.
Cool. All right. I'm fine getting rid of some fighters in this one, or at least being underway. I think we've done a good job eliminating some of these fights tonight or this weekend. So let's move on to another one. We got our guy, Tony Ferguson, possibly the last time we see him in the UFC. I don't know. Taking on Michael Chiesa. Chiesa coming in as the biggest favor on the card, minus 645. Last time I checked, plus 110 inside the distance. Tony Ferguson plus 465, plus 555 inside the distance. So I think the general consensus is that, obviously Tony's dust. He's probably done after this one, but there's the Hail Mary Darce choke submission that's his only path to victory. Do you see anything different? Do you think that it's just going to be a cakewalk for Michael Chiesa, or what are you seeing here?
So I think that Chiesa should win this fight because Tony is washed, and Chiesa should have just a big wrestling advantage, big grappling advantage. But Tony's the better striker in this fight still. Even a washed Tony should easily beat Chiesa on the feet. And then Chiesa, that Darce choke, man, he's been Darced a few times in his career, and Tony has a good Darce. So I feel like that Darce is in play. And I like Tony at $6,700. If Tony wins this fight, he's paying off $6,700. And if he submits him in the first round, he's going to be breaking the slate with 90 plus. So I picked Tony to win just because of the odds. I feel like minus like 700 on Chiesa is crazy. I think he should be closer to a minus 300 range, minus 350, something like that. So I picked Tony to win for that reason. But Chiesa should win this fight more than not. And when he does win, he scores well. He's never scored less than 82 DraftKings points. Usually he's scoring around 100 or more. And if he is going to win this fight, it's going to be on the ground. And it's going to put up a big score too. So I think Chiesa is one of the best favorites on the card to target. But I would just rather take a Shamil or Umar because I'm picking them to win. And I think that they're probably going to score well in the process. And then Tony, like, I don't want to put too much money on him.
Yeah.
Just as washed as he is, he's lost 7 UFC fights in a row. I don't think that's ever happened before in the UFC.
He's going for the record.
Yeah. I feel like he's already got it, but I'm definitely going to be overweight to Tony because I don't think he's going to have that much ownership. I put him around 10%. I'm cool doubling the field, going 20% on Tony. But even though I'm picking Chiesa to win, I'll have more than 20% Chiesa. So he's my preferred click. I'm going to have more lineups with Chiesa, but I'm not going to double the field on Chiesa. So I guess my preferred leverage play is going to be Tony. And I only picked him to win because of that big plus money next to his name. I think he's way more alive than Vegas thinks he is. I might end up betting him by submission as well. I mean, maybe I'll just take that at the money line. I think there's value there. But yeah, this is going to be a good fight to target. I want this one in more than half of my lineups. And I think that the best 3 underdogs on the card are going to be Chiesa, Shamil, and Umar. Or nah, if I said underdogs, I'm my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that was kind of my next question, but you already answered it. I was having a tough time kind of seeing a path for Chiesa being optimal at this price tag, but I guess you kind of have to factor in the fact that he's going against a washed Tony Ferguson. So first round KO. I mean, I doubt it's a quick win by Chiesa, but he has a lot of different paths. It sounds like you're seeing for Chiesa to pay off the 9.5K price tag. It's just kind of weird to see him that priced that high.
Yeah, I just think. I mean, I don't like Chiesa's striking at all. I just think that if he's going to win, it's going to have to come on the ground, and that's what scores well on DraftKings. Whether it be a 3-round decision, I think he would have 5 to 7 takedowns on the process, probably more than 10 minutes of top control time, and he could still put up more than 100 in a decision. But he could submit Ferguson in any round and also have multiple takedowns along the way, a bunch of top control time, and score 120, 130 points in this one. So yeah, if he wins, he's going to score well. I'm not as confident as Vegas is saying he's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if the fight gets to the mat, it's kind of what you want to see as a Ferguson backer. You want that the chances for the submission. So hopefully Chiesa puts on the wrestling boots and we see him get to work there. Next fight on the card is Deiveson Figueiredo. Should be a great fight. Great, just better real life fight than DFS in my eyes. But Deiveson Figueiredo minus 145 plus 600 inside the distance versus Marlon Chito Vera plus 125 plus 300 inside the distance. So the underdog has the better finishing odds in this one. Yeah, I'll kick it to you right away. I'm excited for this fight just as a UFC fan, but I could see this one kind of underwhelming a little bit on DraftKings. So what do you see here?
Yeah, I do like both sides of this fight for DraftKings, but my preferred play is going to be Marlon Vera because I favor him in this matchup. I actually bet him early in the week at like plus 145. And I think that he's more likely to finish the fight because he's like impossible to finish himself. But I do think that Figueiredo is the more dangerous of the two. Like if you put these guys against somebody else, Figueiredo probably finishes that other person more likely than Vera does. But Vera just doesn't get finished. So it's going to be hard to see Figgy get a finish. And if Figgy's not getting a finish, then he's probably not going to score great in this fight. He could still get in the 80s or so, I think, because they could both be aggressive. They could have pretty good volume in this one. Figgy could mix in takedowns. But I think the first round will be Figgy's best round, and then Marlon Vera will start to pick it up, and I like Vera to win the second and the third. I think Vera is the higher volume striker of the two. I think he's more likely to finish the fight on the ground. So he's just my preferred play overall. He's my favorite underdog to just win outright. Because if I'm going to line this fight, I usually line fights on like a 5% range. I would probably say he's got like a 49 to 54% chance. So he's more likely to win the fight than he is to lose it in my eyes. And I love to see that when there's a plus next to their name. So yeah, I'm going to be overweight on Vera. And then Figgy will probably be like a 20% play, something like that, where I might double that on Vera.
Yep. I think I'm in agreement with you there. Should be a pretty good fight to target, at least from the underdog side. It sounds like for you. Another fight coming up it sounds like it should be pretty one-sided here with Sharabulat Magomedov taking on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Probably messed it up, but I think I was pretty close. Magomedov minus 235 and minus 135 inside the distance, where Mikhail is plus 200, plus 425 inside the distance. Have you heard the rumors about Mikhail? Apparently not. He doesn't have a gym. He's not fighting in an actual gym. He's kind of just training with his buddies. Like, I don't know where, but he doesn't have a gym with coaches. And apparently he's talking about retiring after this fight if he loses, or I think he said when he loses, like he's expecting himself to lose. Sounds like he's going to retire. Have you heard any of those rumors? And what are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, I feel like I saw him say that if he loses this fight, he's done with the sport. But yeah, I didn't know about the gym. I don't know that he said that he expects himself to lose, but it is a tough fight. I mean, the UFC definitely wants Magomedov to win this fight. He's the hyped up prospect in this one. And Oleksiejczuk is mainly a striker. He's a press forward and throw big bombs type of fighter. But Magomedov is just the better overall striker because he's very active. Mainly it's a kicking game, but he just throws kick after kick after kick. He's, I think, more dangerous. I think he's going to be higher volume. I think he's faster. So it wouldn't shock me to see Oleksiejczuk turn into a wrestler in this fight because Magomedov can be taken down. He can spend too much time on his back. But the good thing about him on his back is he's still active. He's not really throwing up submissions, but he's throwing a bunch of elbows and like high volume strikes on the ground, which those add up on DraftKings. So Magomedov can score well, but I think at his price, we're going to need a finish somewhere along the way. And Oleksiejczuk just had his arm snapped in half like 2 months ago. So it's surprising to see him back already. I figured he would be out a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
But I don't think Magomedov is really a submission threat. So maybe that's why he's taking this fight. Maybe he even thinks he has the edge on the ground in this one. But I just have a hard time seeing Oleksiejczuk win a striking match unless he's knocking Magomedov out. It could definitely happen. And if Oleksiejczuk wins, I think he's going to score more than 10x in this one. So I will be getting exposure to him. But my preferred play is going to be Magomedov. I think that the kicks are just going to be too much, too often. And I'll take him to get like a second or a third round TKO at some point and probably score around 10x. I like the other three favorites that I mentioned earlier more, but I'm still fine getting 20 to 40%, anywhere in that range of Magomedov. If I'm hand building, I guess it would be closer to the 20%, but I'll let the Shiptimizer decide on this one. And I'd be fine getting up to 20% Oleksiejczuk too, just because I do think it would be smart of him to go out there and land takedowns in this fight. And if he does, he could possibly land, 4 or 5 takedowns and even in a decision score over 10x in this one. So good fight to target, but give me Magomedov by TKO.
Yeah, I think I'm right there in line with you. I think I have Magomedov and Gaziev like neck and neck with each other as my second/third favorite spin ups on the card, obviously behind Umar. Got a crazy sprinkle of a bet. So Oleg Zaechuk has been subbed in 6 of his 8 losses. You can get Shara by submission plus 1,600. I mean, that's a fun little bet if you want to just put that on your local betting website. But yeah, Shara by first round KO is definitely gonna be my pick in this one. I'm gonna have a ton of him. Probably end up being around the field or underweight on Oleg Zaechuk. All right, we made it to the last fight of the night. Umar Nurmagomedov taking on Corey Sandhagen. Should be set up. Whoever wins this one going to be probably in line for the title shot. So definitely a ton on the line here. Really big step up in competition for. I mean, both of these guys. I would say Umar for sure hasn't really fought the biggest names in the sport, in the division. And Sandhagen's, he's been around for a while, fought some of the best competition in that division. So. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously going to be one you're going to want to target. Umar coming in as a minus 310 favorite. Sandhagen plus 260. I think these guys are definitely the best spend ups and spend downs at their respective price tags. Break this fight down for me, Marley. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an all-in fight for me. I want one of these guys in every lineup that I create. I'm not going to stack it because I think it would be more one-sided, especially if Umar wins, which I am picking Umar to win. I just think he's going to be the best in this division. He's just so good. He's got better striking than Khabib did, but he also has that ground game too, and he can rack up takedowns for all 5 rounds. So Umar could score 120, 140 points even with a decision in this fight. So he has the highest ceiling on the card. And also the most likely ceiling on the card because his best path to victory is going to be on the ground. And that's where Corey's biggest weakness is being taken down. Aljo took him down, submitted him really early in the fight. Wouldn't shock me to see Umar do that, but he could also submit him in the 4th round and put up 100+ points before he even gets to that. So Umar's my favorite play on the card. I'm going to have a lot of him. But I've never picked Sandhagen to lose before this. I'm a big Sandhagen fan. I think his striking is going to be better than Umar's. I think he could knock Umar out. He's got pretty decent submission game too. He went out there, put the wrestling shoes on in his last fight. I just don't think he could do that in this fight. So he's going to have to look to keep it on the feet. And he doesn't really have like big one-punch power, but it wouldn't shock me to see him knock out Umar with like a flying knee on a takedown attempt or something like that. He could maybe submit Umar on the ground. So I'm still going to have a good amount of Corey Sandhagen, but I would guess that I get around the field on Corey, which I put around, I want to say 30%. And then I'll have 70% Umar. Like he'll be my core play on this card. I want a ton of him, and I don't think that there's any chance that he like disappoints in a win. He's going to go out there and look great in the process if he goes and he beats Sandhagen. And if he does, I think he's going to have the title around his waist pretty soon too. So give me Umar to win, probably score more than 110 points. But yeah, I want to make a rule that this fight is in every lineup that I create. I think that most lineups will have this fight, but that's just chalk I'm absolutely willing to eat.
Yep. 100% in agreement with you there. I think that I'm going to be making that rule as well. I just don't see a way that this fight underwhelms. I definitely agree with you. Umar's got all the wrestling upside. I think there could be times where you just like it's just total domination from Umar on the ground. He could look like a minus 1,000 favorite at times. But yeah, I mean, Sandhagen, he's been just super steady. I mean, he's probably won me the most money in MMA DFS. He's been on 2 of my shippers, so got a little sweet spot for Corey Sandhagen. So it's gonna be tough picking against him. But yeah, I'm probably gonna end up around the same 70-30 Umar. But yeah, definitely a big fight, great fight to target here. You're gonna want to get a lot of both sides. But that is gonna do it. That's all the fights. Do we want to circle back to John's question?
Yeah, for sure. You got an answer for this one?
Let me take a look real quick if you're ready. I feel like we shouldn't choose Corey just because it's kind of the easy one.
Yeah, I got a couple options that I can choose from. So if you want to go first, I'll pick somebody different.
I think for me, it's going to be Bedoya. I really like the matchup for him against Jai Herbert. Mentioned it, just Herbert's kind of, Bedoya's got great chin versus Herbert, who doesn't have the best chin. I think that it should probably be I mean, the pricing, came out early, so we're getting really good odds from a pricing standpoint on Bedoya. But yeah, I think that he's going to be my favorite value on the slate to target.
Yeah, he was going to be my top one as well. But I'll go Elvis Brener. I think if he can survive the first round, then the finish in the second or third is super in play. I also think that Menifield is another good one too, just with his one punch power. And then the last one that I was thinking of was that Jordan Vucinic.
Yep.
I think he's live to get a finish on the feet or the ground. So those are going to be my top 4 or whatever. Since you threw a whole $10 our way, I'll give you an extra couple picks as well.
Yep. I think that we are right there in lockstep. I like all those guys as well. But that is going to do it, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stephen Neighbors, we'll see you sometime in the near future since you're catching up on playback. But yeah, appreciate all the support, guys. And we'll see you guys this weekend. Hopefully we get some more Ship It logos up top. But yeah, let me send us out. Have a good weekend, everybody.